Hey everyone, hope you've been doing well. I thought in this video I'd take a second to explain the Mission Expressionator and how I'm using it on my board. It's a nifty little utility pedal that you can use one expression pedal to control any combination of 3 different outputs. So for me, on my board, the way I like to play a lot of improvisational music, it worked well for that situation. You can see I'm also using a MIDI controller here. I could have plugged the expression pedal into the MIDI controller, but I would have been missing a few things. So I want to talk about the context that I decided to use both a MIDI controller and the Expressionator together. This video is part of a series where I built this entire pedal board from the ground up, and you're welcome to check out some of those other videos. There's a playlist in the description. So yeah, the Mission Expressionator, the basics of it is that you have one expression pedal plugged to the input here, and then we've got A, B, and C. These are 3 different analog outputs that you can send essentially what this pedal is doing to any of them. So on the A channel, I have it sent to the Vertex boost. The B channel is being sent to the Morningstar MC8 MIDI controller, and from there it can interpret that as MIDI data and send it as a control change message to any of the other pedals that are connected with MIDI, or this one actually too. And then lastly, the C channel here is going direct via analog input to the Wampler Terraform. So although this one's set up with MIDI, I haven't found, at least I haven't found it yet, I don't think you are able to control any parameter changes with MIDI control change messages. It's just program change, which is preset switching. So let's talk about this thing. First thing you'll notice is that A, B, and C foot switch here is just going to shuffle through them. So it's pretty simple. We also have a taper control over here. So in the A channel, I have it set up with the Vertex boost as a volume control. And the reason I like using an expression with the boost, I've got a full video on this actually, is basically it just takes the volume potentiometer out of your chain. Now we're using control voltage to change the volume parameter in this pedal. So this works always whether the pedal's on or off. If I want to boost it, that's what this knob will control, and it still operates as a pedal then, but now it has an extra 6 decibel gain boost or whatever. So that's A. B, again, is being sent to the MC8. So in a typical situation, I've just turned on a wah block in my helix, and then I can control this to control that wah parameter. And I can control any parameter on any of the blocks in the helix with this now. I could also use it to send MIDI control change messages to the Empress Echo system or the reverb to control, say, the decay parameter, the mix parameter. These Thing 1 and Thing 2 knobs, they control different things depending on which preset you're on those pedals. So I could do that if I ever needed to. B is a great way to be able to control a lot of different stuff at once. And I would set that up per preset with the MC8. I'll have a further video talking a little bit more in depth about why I chose to go with MIDI switching, MIDI preset controls. That'll come in a later video anyway. Now C is being sent to the Wampler Terraform, like I mentioned, so I'm going to pull up a rotary patch. And now, normally you would have, in most cases, controlled the speed of a rotary speaker effect, but you can actually do that with the tap tempo here. So instead, I've decided to change the blend between the sub speaker and the tweeter. So we get a whole wide range of different sounds. Let's say I like this setting that I've pulled up. I want that really warm kind of tone, but I want to be able to control the volume parameter now. I can switch it. It'll hold there at the lowest setting. And now A goes back to controlling the volume. Let's say I want to play something that's sitting low in the band mix. I'll set that about halfway, it'll hold. As I switch to B, now I want to turn on a wah. I can do all 3 of those things at once with the Expressionator. Now the way I have the MC8 set up for my playing style, where I'm doing a lot of improvisational based music, is I have a couple basic kind of stock reverb and delay tones that I want to be able to shuffle through. So when I hit clean, that'll wipe any modulation that I have set up around the board. That's just kind of a very light verb that'll work great for rhythm guitar playing or anything really. Lead is obviously a solo sound. You'll notice it doesn't change any of my overdrives or anything. This is just for delay and reverb right now. I also have some other different settings. But the way I play is I want to be able to layer modulation effects on top of it so I can get any combination of tones rather than just 8 preset tones that I can't really change on the fly. So let's say I want to change I want to add in a univibe on top of this wet tone that I have already. Cool. Now I want to change a parameter in the univibe. I'm able to switch between different speeds with the Terraform, where if I didn't have the Mission Expressionator, I'd be changing, for example, the speed parameter in here while I change the volume, while I change anything else that's active. So this is my way to separate the pedals a little bit, and so I can have more control on the fly, and I can, not have to think so much about it, I think. Now, some cool things you can do with, I'm going to clear the sound here. Some cool things you can do with the Mission Expressionator is that you can actually change the taper. So in most cases, you're probably going to want a normal taper here. This is, what would you call this, linear? So this is just straight up, just as the picture shows, and this will be great for feeding any digital pedal. This will get you like the really fine controls that you want. And I have this set up going to the MC8 and then also to the Terraform the same way. For the volume control, I have it set up with I guess you'd call it a logarithmic taper. I might be getting these backwards. But anyway, I just find that this works better for a volume parameter to have that kind of sweep instead of the normal one. Now there also are some other ranges. So for example, John Mayer is someone who I believe likes to play with the wah actually upside down, so that when he's heel down, it's the high tone, and with the toe down, it's the warmer sound. So this is interesting, and this is a great way to be able to do this without having to reorient your entire board. So say I want to turn on. Cool. I've got my wah sound set up here, and if I wanted to control the wah backwards like John Mayer does, I would just switch here. Cool, and then it's set up. Versus normally. One more time. An interesting thing to do that you wouldn't be able to do normally without taking the wah pedal off and redoing everything. There also are 2 other modes. So this one sweeps between as you go up, it'll very quickly ramp, and reset. And it'll do it at a little bit of a taper. So it kind of ramps up, resets, ramps up, resets. The next mode here, which is a square wave, it's on or off. So it's the maximum setting and then the minimum setting. You get my point. You can do a lot of different stuff with this little taper thing. Now the other thing I should mention is that if you're ever in a recording situation or you want to control, say, maybe I want to control the volume and the speed change here in the univibe. Cool, so that's set up. A is the volume again. B is the MC8, so we're going to leave that off. A is always on. I guess that's kind of redundant to press that when you're on the A setting. I would turn on C, and now this is actually going to change volume and the speed of the Terraform univibe as I sweep from bottom to top. So it's very soft in volume and very slow in the univibe, and as I sweep up, it gets louder and faster. If I wanted to do the opposite, let's see if I could do that real quick. So now we're at a low volume and a fast speed on the univibe, and as we sweep up, it'll get louder but slower. Cool, so for me, it's just about control. How many different things can I do with just one volume pedal? It really cut down on the size of the board. It let me have access to a lot more parameters than I would have normally. And in the future, if I want to set this up basically as you know, as what a lot of people do, intro, verse, chorus, bridge per song. And I can set this up to control, you know, in the intro I can set it up to control a volume parameter in the helix for swells, and then the next one I can set it up to control the rate of a modulation effect, etc. The possibilities are endless. So I thought it was a cool effect, and I'm glad I got to share it with you. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, maybe subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of videos like this, especially right now with this rig build. I've done a lot of videos lately just piecing together everything, and if you have any other questions about this rig, I hope one of those other videos might be helpful to you. So stay tuned for future stuff from me. Next video is going to be on the MC8, an introduction to MIDI switching. It's not nearly as scary as I thought it was. It's a pretty simple pedal to use, and I'll be happy to share with you the stuff that I've learned along the way. So take care. See you in the next one.